Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. We had a very, very slow trading session until about lunch, 1:15, and then the market uh, got a burst of volatility when the RBOL 1 broke, and it sent it up sharply, and the market came down sharply on it, and then that corrected and came back to the mean. So here was the channel for that. I have not measured this yet. Okay. It looks like the channel from this high to this low, 4150, and the spread between the 3 to 3 didn't quite do it. Um, it was a little bit too exaggerated. I mean, it really did break out of there. So I don't know where this started. So it may have been at this low. It looks like that low. So maybe 63. Let's see. 51. So that would have been 25 points. But from this low, 33.77, 44 points. Look at that. From this low to 77 is 44 points. And that was what the channel was. So interesting. Okay. It was just a little bit wider than I was expecting. But I don't think the market was expecting that to break. So we came and we were just sitting on it. Some posts did go out. There was like a little Twitter rant that I got involved in. I sort of jumped in on somebody's conversation and ranting about my usual, dollar liquidity swaps with the ECB. The uh, it was like 100 million a week for years and years and years. It ranged really from 50 million to a billion a week. It was insane. Um, Easily averaged 100 a week, 100 million a week. And my argument was there was no growth in the ECB. There was no contracts benefiting them. There was no GDP growth or value add for American companies involved in contracts. The euro dollar is supposed to be used in the repo market as collateral for contracts, and that's that overnight repo. And so you had to have some sort of like economic benefit or reason to come in and use that particular mechanism for funding, and it didn't happen. And my theory is that there really wasn't ever any repayment because if you pull it up, um, you can see that it was just recycled in. They continuously just rearmed every week. So here's the website. Just Google Federal Reserve liquidity swap operations or central bank liquidity swap operations. you'll find this website from the New York Fed. Scroll to the bottom. You can come in here and put a beginning date. So like you could say January 1st of um, say 2024 to today. Come back in and put the ECB as the counterparty. And then you can scroll down and just see every single week. These are weekly. Every single week, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars a week for years. I mean, it goes back before this 23, 22, the same thing. Until we get to this year, they took out $1 billion, right, in January or December before Biden leaves office. So after the election, they just start, loading up for bear, right? And $1 billion in 1 week. Can you imagine? And that must have been, I don't know what that was for, but there was no change in the amount. You see this? They're not repaying it. They're not repaying interest. They're supposed to be paying interest every week. These are short term 1 week obligations. Like I said, this was a 21 day, but they're supposed to be repaying it. And what my theory is they weren't. It was just an Excel line item spreadsheet. And maybe they put on the line item that, interest was paid, but they just turned around and gave it right back to them. There was no, absorption of income from interest like we're supposed to be receiving. It was a joke. I know it. You would know it. Just look at this spreadsheet. You'll know it. And then, especially when you get to the end and you see now they're down to 15 million. So now they're sending out all these alarms saying, everything is in dire warning. It's because Trump cut them off. Doge probably went in there, my guess. Doge has been auditing all their books and saw what a scam this is. There's no benefit to the taxpayer. It's artificially, kept rates at a certain level, and the interest has grown and grown and grown like Venezuela. And if you're wondering why interest rates are so high, I mean, inflation, I'm talking about inflation. I'm sorry, I think I said interest. I need to, calm down here, get emotional. The inflation is, the ramification for this. And it's just, globalization. The priority has been to shore up the Eurozone because of their disastrous MMT policies with TLR, TL, TRO3, and they blew up their own economy with that. And so now we've been helping them, but they have overregulated our companies, they have censored us, there's not any contracts, there's no economic benefit for the United States. What have we gotten for all these years and years and years and years of hundreds of millions of dollars sent to them? Where has it gone? And do they own short-term treasuries? Are we going to end up giving them interest, taxpayer money on that? None of this really understand. I don't understand a lot of it. I know that it's an opaque system. I know that they hide their stuff. We can't get, any realistic accounting from it. Just word salad and gobbledygook. But it's not anything that you would, expect to see a Fortune 500 company employ for their accounting system or the way that they would manage their affairs. So I'm all for supporting Europe, I'm all for supporting Japan, and I'm all for supporting China, but they took advantage of us. China printed money off of magic printing trees. They built their empty cities by taking the United States dollars, giving it to Australia, not back to the United States. That money never came back to the United States. It went to them and places unknown or other places. I guess they bought soybeans, but other than that, pork and soybeans about it. Um, Australia got all of the tax dollars from that. They built the empty cities, and then they defaulted on all of it. Right? Our bondholders were left holding the bag, and they just, defaulted on our debt too. They own, what, I forget how many billions in treasuries they still own that they could sell at any moment. What happens when they sell a treasury? Do they get a line item on an Excel sheet? No, they get taxpayer dollars. They get U.S. dollars. It's crazy. It's a bad system. So just by not understanding it and having a lot of questions about it, I guess that's not good. You're not supposed to do that, but it's hard not to when you see the amount of money that was just laundered repeatedly over and over and over on that liquidity swap operation. That wasn't anything to do with anything to benefit the United States. There were no contracts. There was no growth in the GDP. I can't tell that ever any interest was retained. It was probably a line item on the balance sheet, and there was no net effect. It went right back. There was no, um, never mind. Perfect. Okay. Back to the market. We're flat going into the weekend, probably because of the holiday week. The market traded very, nicely this morning, right inside the VIX mean to the Arbol ones. Broke it, didn't quite get to the daily two. They bought it back up, and it really took off when it broke this Arbol resistance. And now, is back to the 18 pin where it was going to be. And it did pin at 59.50, which is the dealer's max pain. And that's where I told you that this morning in our report that would be the level that the dealers make the most money. They are selling the premium, and they have the least exposure from that premium sale at the max pain. So dealers are happy today, got it back in the middle. We're sitting on the highs of that big rally, and there's going to be no rush from any of the portfolio managers to sell this market before the weekend, Memorial Day, and I would argue until the end of the month. Why, cough up these gains on that huge rally at this point? So we have the monthly three right here at 58.95, 6,000, 59.95, 6,000, and I guess 59.85 to 6,000. And we could, buzz that again before Friday, before the end of the month, and just sort of flatten out here in this range. So that would mean, if you're just thinking out loud, that would mean a huge volume cluster on this high. And so when we break above it or break below it, that will be a significant level of resistance or support. And from the order flow that I saw today, someone showed me some leaps and long-term options, like $25 million was spent. Very bullish. situating for a much higher market going into next year. So my guess is we're hanging on these highs for good reason, and that's because the market plans to break them and go higher. So um, monthly three, so that the dealer doesn't lose any more from their spreads short term, and then after the month, they can move the market and continue the rally should the market want to do that without pulling back. Um, just trade it, day by day. Um, there is a lot of macro. You have the big, beautiful spending bill that apparently is in trouble. They're not passing it. They have some Republican opposition people. I don't know what their platforms are or what they're trying to hold out for. Usually it's someone who's trying to cut a deal for their, you know, constituents, or, they want a new airport so that they can fly in and out to DC, or something like that. So we'll see what their issues are, um, and or whether, they really don't want, what I'm hearing now is they don't want to give the senior citizens the no tax on Social Security. I think that's being threatened. So if that happens, I don't know if they'll get reelected because there's still a lot of seniors left. They didn't kill us all with COVID. So if the Republicans think that they can tell Trump to go take a hike, that they'll pass everything in the big beautiful bill that make seniors pay on their Social Security, they might just lose the next election. We'll see what happens. Um, but that is a source of contention for some of them, unfortunately. I mean, after all of the money that we have seen flying out of DC to all of those ridiculous charities, I mean, and the illegal aliens and the money flow just going into the politicians' offshore accounts, and they won't let senior citizens have a tax free on that Social Security, cap it, or, say if you have an income, you know, of this amount, um, you can't qualify for that. But for normal senior citizens living on a fixed income, not to pass that would be pretty sad, in my opinion. And I think that that's the way it's going to be. Is they're going to say that they're going to pass the big beautiful bill and give all the companies their tax relief and all the upper income tax breaks, but the little guys are going to get frozen out again. And if that happens, then we really, really, really need to figure out how to get um, a Republican National Committee to represent people and not um, influence peddling and campaign finance, tax, pass their stuff, but nobody else's stuff. That's pretty sad, but it looks like that's the way it's shaping up to be. All right. With that said, I hope y'all have a good night, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Is another day. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.